Hello everyone and welcome to Lap of the World. I'm Richard, and this time we finally get back to talking about track days. It's been so long I'm not even sure I know how to do that. Also in this video we'll recap a Cars and Coffee event that the wife and I went to over the weekend before we get around to talking about putting some 3D printed wheels on an NSX. So stick around. Before we continue, please take a moment, and if you enjoy these videos, click on the subscribe button below. It's free to you, but it helps me work towards my channel's goals for 2018. I'd appreciate it. To the 140 of you who are already subscribed, thank you very, very much. You guys are awesome. So, first things first. We did an autocross. We won stuff, and nothing broke. That's not entirely true. I noticed after I got home that the bearings in the alternator were on their way out. When I looked at the alternator belt, it was like fluttering, and there was a really nasty noise coming from there. But anyway, after some mild shenanigans, I've replaced it. So that item at least shouldn't be an issue in the near future, which is good, because I've actually signed us up for our next event. So if you're headed down to Atlanta Motorsports Park on what will be this coming weekend as you watch this video, keep an eye out for me. I'll be on the track in an NSX and in the paddock looking like a crazy person talking to a stick. Moving on to things that have already happened, my wife and I popped out to a local Cars and Coffee event earlier on the weekend, hosted by our friends at European Auto Garage. Presented by European Auto Garage and hosted by Regal Cinemas, this event benefited Variety, the children's charity. There were cars, there was coffee, as well as a silent auction. I think the unseasonable weather kept some people home, but my wife and I still enjoyed chatting with the folks from BBS, Top Wrench, and Speed Society, all links in the description below, as well as strolling through a modest but diverse turnout of cars. Some exotic, some sporty, some that would sneer at your pronunciation of their name. Others purposefully modded, and still more sporting some trends that some of us secretly hope make a comeback. All told, it was a good use of a lazy Saturday morning. Now then, about those 3D printed wheels on an NSX. Well, I was so distraught at not winning one of the car models that Josh over at the NSX Experiment was giving away that I just decided to build my own. Okay, that's not entirely true. Starting from when I was young, my dad and I have accrued a modest collection of 1/18 scale die-cast cars. They are mostly comprised of cars that either he or later I owned, or a few, if I hit the lottery one day, favorites. Now, a couple of years ago, my dad took the extra step of customizing a couple of those to more exactly match his cars in reality. I loved the idea, so I wanted to do one of my own. My goal, put simply, is to make this look like this. My starting point is, coincidentally, a 1992 sculpt of an Acura NSX by Revel. This one came from eBay, I'm told, as a Christmas present for my wife after I told her about my idea. It was advertised with paint flaws for, again I'm told, around $30. The other half of the puzzle were the wheels. Obviously there's a big difference between the stock Fat 5s and bright gold inky RPF 1s. That is where the miracle of 3D printing comes into play. I found these distinctly inky RPF 1 looking wheels on Shapeways for around $30 after shipping. They took a couple of weeks to get printed and shipped, but the level of detail is impressive. Now, here is where I had planned to edit in my Adam Savage-esque instructable montage of me disassembling, modifying, and reassembling the car, masterfully dealing with challenges and coming out with a movie prop level reproduction. Unfortunately, it seems that I suck at doing arts and crafts on camera. Half the footage was out of focus, the other half was me building something off frame, and the last part didn't even get filmed because I was just done at that point and wanted to focus on the building and not the filming. So, with that admission of failure, what follows will be a series of in-progress captures that represent the various stages of the build, in case you want to follow along and replicate what I've done here. And I will just follow that by using the magic of TV to pull the finished product metaphorically out of the oven.
Keeping things brief, the first step was to remove the metal body from the chassis, interior, and canopy. The canopy was already black, so did not need paint. Removing the wheels proved a bit tricky. The internet told me to just pull them off. And it was right, but the internet didn't fully convey how exactly well stuck on they are. You really do have to pull pretty hard, but at least in my case they did come off before anything else broke. After that, noting that they were in two sections, I was able to separate the chrome face from the gray hub section, and then glue the 3D printed wheel barrels to these hubs once they were painted. I did have to sand down two of the hubs as they were different offsets in real wheel terms, so would have resulted in a bit of a skateboard look had I not adjusted them. Fortuitously, I was able to reuse the tires from the original NSX model, just needing to trim some flash from around the inside in order to fit them on the new rims. For the record, the tires appear to have been modeled after BF Goodrich Comp TAs. It's my understanding that these were the business back in the late 80s and early 90s. I actually remember my dad having a set on his Pantera for track use. I also painted the back of the tail lights and blinkers with metallized silver to improve reflectivity. With all the fiddly stuff taken care of, it was just a matter of a little spray paint and a few hours of waiting before things were ready to go back together.
So with that abbreviated build montage out of the way, here she is, folks. And with our new fancy dust collector now complete, it's time for me to get back to bleeding brakes, changing pads, and watching a bunch of video of AMP so I can learn the track before I just show up. So I will see all of you in the next video, if not at the track. I'm Richard, and this is Lap of the World. Good news, 4 tires. I debated flipping it inside out to have easier access to it, but it turns out it just handles a little better, some pun intended, if you leave it right side out.